Okay, welcome to Civil Disagreement. Today's topic is mainstream media. I will warn you right now, Mike and I have a lot of agreement on this, but as we were discussing it coming up to the actual recording, we have a lot of different viewpoints that we didn't even discuss with each other. So we agree for different reasons on this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so Michael, actually, why don't you take it away and get started?
Media. My relationship with the media is it's bad. I just grown up in Baltimore. All they did was show a lot of the negative light of what was going on in our communities. You couldn't, and again, I'm not trying to make this a black white issue. I'm just saying that it is. It's hurtful that every single time you turned on the morning news or the evening news, it was always the most negative thing in our community being publicized first before they even get to some segment of positivity in the community. And that's if there was a segment for positivity. It just seems like that the narrative of awards and recognition of certain people for the gain of money or anything like that, then they go out and they try to look for people like case in point, when they want to do something for Toys for Tots, or they want to do something about the military, or they want to do something about military spouses whose loved ones are deployed, if they want to do something about Special Olympics, anything concerning children or disadvantaged children. When they want to do that narrative, they put the most credible people locally on it. They put money into it. They do every single thing to do this for some kind of award or program or money. But 9 times out of 10, when you turn on the news in Baltimore City, it's something negative about black people. Whether it's the murder rate, whether it's the crime rate, whether it's always something to sensationalize the media, to get ratings, to make sure that people are watching the news. Is almost like, oh, murder. Let's keep putting this stuff out. Let's keep putting this stuff out there. And then soon as you get days, and I swear I don't understand this. Last week I was in Baltimore, and Baltimore had a week where they had some time where there was no gun deaths. No gun deaths, nobody murdered, and all of a sudden, or should I say, no gun violence. Let me put it that way. There was no gun violence. What did the media do? This was the such and such day in a row that there's no gun death or gun violence. Like, why would you do what? Like, it's almost like you just wanted to put that out there and dare somebody to to just go get a gun and go kill somebody, go shoot at somebody. Like the minute they said that, somebody went out with a gun and shot somebody.
Well, what's interesting is I actually just recently watched a lecture on the psychological effects of basically saying you get more of what you advertise for.
Yes.
So the news media, if there's no gun violence, let's talk about gun violence.
Yeah.
And then we'll get what we want.
Yeah.
Because I actually see this. I know we've already talked about the Second Amendment and whatnot, but AR-15s became the gun of choice because the news media would not drop the topic. Handguns were always the gun of choice. One shooter used an AR-15, and there was 2 months of AR-15s on the news almost every single night.
I mean, look what happened on the West Coast with MAC-10s and Uzis. Didn't nobody know what a MAC-10 or a Uzi was until it was sensationalized as far as gangster violence was concerned. Nobody knew what that was. They had every single news media in the... Oh, this is such a... And again, I know we had the Second Amendment thing, but the media was sensationalizing Uzis and MAC-10s, and nobody cared. Nobody cared. They're just, this is what gangsters are using to kill each other with, and blah, 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 and the term black on black crime. Again, all sensationalization in the news. They're like, oh, we got to look at the news to see who killed somebody with a MAC-10. Again, no sensationalism of programs that help the community. Nobody going out there trying to find out why this stuff is happening, trying to shed light on, it's just crazy.
Okay. So anyway, that's the position Mike is coming from.
Yeah,
Now,
I'm tired of people just looking bad in the news just for ratings, basically.
Yes. Now, what happened for me, and the reason I want to talk about the mainstream media, back in the late '90s, this is when I became disenchanted with the news because I used to watch the news every night, just find out what's going on in the world. And what I started noticing was that the news being reported was no longer news. It was all opinions sprinkled with some facts.
Yeah.
Or some facts with a bunch of opinions attached to them. It was no longer. I've actually had someone much older than myself tell me that Walter Cronkite was a very left-leaning guy, and actually his news reporting did reflect some of that. But I don't recall ever seeing that myself. When I watched Walter Cronkite back when I was young, when he was around, and I didn't see as much of it. But now you can't find a news outlet that doesn't have some kind of bias that they're pushing.
I think the reason is because of that is I grew up watching some of those guys too. Maybe not as long as you have, but a lot of topics that they were pushing. I mean, for real, a lot of topics that I used to listen to 60 Minutes when I was young and everything, and I could literally comprehend a lot of the stuff that a lot of those guys were talking about. And the problem was a lot of that stuff. Not saying they didn't do good exposés or documentaries or report news on what was happening in communities like mine, where I grew up, and things of that nature. It was just a lot of stuff that they talked about just did not, they weren't real social. A lot of stuff just weren't real, like, social impactful, like, media pieces. Like, case in point, if 60 Minutes talked about cancer and well water, where were they going to go to talk about that? Again, you're talking about rural America. So not saying that those people don't have a social issue with, the power lines thing for cancer, the pesticide thing. 60 Minutes was real good on the pesticide thing. They went out into rural area farming communities and they investigated because you had a lot of people talking about, they were getting cancer from the pesticides that the farmers were using in the local area. Like I said, the power lines. They investigated the power lines and the cancer thing. It was a lot of stuff that they investigated as far as they could be considered social issues. But again, it was in a lot of communities that weren't mainstream at the time. So I mean, they did something on Native Americans, the reservations and things of that nature. But again, that wasn't mainstream. So you fast forward all the way up until now, where you used to seeing them report facts on certain issues, even though they weren't mainstream, trying to bring stuff to light. And now you get to news media, instead of reporting the facts, it's, okay, we're going to report that these people were wronged, but we're going to demonize a certain group of people and just say this is the reason why, this is like that. Instead of saying Flint, Michigan has bad well water, and bad water, the pipes are corroded, it's been like that for years. Instead of just going in, taking your cameras, letting the people talk for themselves and all the rest of this other things, it's like, okay, we're going to get the facts, and then what we're going to do is we're going to try to demonize a whole bunch of politicians without even knowing what they did or didn't try to do or anything like that. Like, at the end of the day, I mean, we want you to shed light on things that are affecting the community, but we don't need you to come up with this whole grand scheme of conspiracy and try to make it look like the city government they know about this and they just we don't need the opinions on it. You understand? We just need to know that the issue is there. It needs to be fixed. And if anything, can people reach out or is there anybody that wants to donate? Like, put those links up there, that kind of thing. Like, the whole conspiracy theory to a lot of this stuff, these opinions that people keep putting on, like Kevin said, sprinkling facts. Like, nobody wants to hear that. It's almost
well, I'm going to contradict you now. Everybody wants to hear that.
I don't want to hear
which
that.
Which is why they do that.
Yeah.
And which is the reason we're talking about it, because Mike and I don't want to hear it. But like I said, now back in the 90s is when I kind of fell out of sync with the news media. And because back in the day, I'm old enough that I can say that now. Back in the day, if someone was going to give an opinion, there was actually a little thing up on the screen that said, this is a commentary
by such and such and such, and does not represent the views of channel whatever or station whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. And now they don't put that up there because it would never come down.
Yes.
It's all commentary.
Yes.
I had an example in my head just a minute ago where certain news media, the adjectives they use when they talk about things.
Yes.
That's another thing. I actually saw something this morning where they were showing all these different news outlets. They kept saying, this is the worst day for the Trump administration, for whatever reason. I think it had to do with the impeachment, or something like that. And they just kept repeating it over and over and over how horrible this day was for him, and then nothing happened. And it was because what has happened in the mainstream media is news used to just be reported. Here are the facts, the way it is. But don't interrupt me,
because I got something on that point. Well, go ahead.
The facts are reported. And then now, I'm sorry, let me back. Okay, so facts are reported, and then people can make up their own minds as to what they thought about it.
Yes.
Now it's, okay, here's the fact. Well, then the next evolution was, okay, here are the facts. Here's what we think about it.
Yes.
And now it's like, here are the facts with what we think about it. After every time we give you a fact, we're going to interpret it for you, so you don't have to actually think about it.
Yes.
And we're going to keep feeding you this stuff.
Yes.
What? And so I'm going to go a little further still. Now, news media has gone from just reporting the news to ratings. Ratings are now more important than anything else. So if we want ratings, what do we have to do? We have to make it sensational.
Yes.
So a news item of some good news.
Yes.
No, we're not going to use that because a lot of people, they're just tuning in for the bad stuff.
Yes.
But if you report some of the good stuff, you're going to actually pick up other viewers. Now you might lose the ones that are looking for the bad stuff temporarily during that spot. But what happens is you have to report the news, give your opinion, sensationalize it. That puts your ratings up. That means your commercials are now more expensive to buy, or the commercial time is more expensive to buy. You make more money. So you got to make it more sensational. And basically, and I'm even watching the news, what we're seeing now is that a lot of the news media is actually creating news instead of reporting news.
Yes.
They're feeding a narrative.
Yes, that whole narrative stuff.
Yeah,
so
okay.
the problem...
Now you may talk.
Really? Okay. So what Kevin is talking about is good example, okay? And this is factual information that I'm about to put out here. All you got to do is Google it, and you'll see the videos. Well, they got new video technology, so I can't say video doesn't lie. But this is what I'm saying, okay? It's got to go to a hypocritical stance of newscasters and their affiliates and all the rest of this other stuff. While Obama was president and he wore the beige jacket, he was the worst president on the face of the planet in American history. You can pull it up, go type in Obama beige jacket or beige suit, and you're going to find all these commentators from every which way you can find commenting, talking about he is weak, that's the worst president, bad decision, blah, blah, blah. They demonize that man for a tan suit. Now, that's your standard. Once you go on record, and that's your standard, that's your standard. If I say Kevin wore a V-neck to a meeting, you are just, that is not professional. That is not the way we should dress when we come to work, Mr. Kevin. That's my standard. That's where I'm at. Okay. So you were so heated by that. And again, I know it's not the same thing, but again, where's your standard? You are demonizing the professional, the professionalism of a president of the United States because he wore a beige suit. Donald Trump says, grab him by the pussy. Okay? And there's no standard for that? You're just not outraged? You're outraged by a beige suit, but you're not outraged by we just go and grab him by the pussy.
But
now, hold on. There has to be a come on now. You're not outraged by that. So again, we're gonna take the sensationalism away from that because that doesn't fit our narrative. Even though it is facts that he said that. Okay, we're gonna take the sensationalism away from that. That's not ratings for us. We don't want to do that. But yeah, we're gonna beef that stuff up. And again, it goes on the other side. Let somebody from the left or somebody that's a mainstream politician or somebody that runs on the center or sometimes leans a little bit left or Democratic or whatever they want to call it, Democratic Socialist now. Let them do something that's wrong. Some news channels, oh no, we're not going to put that out there. We're not going to report that. It has to be like very, very, very bad. You know what I'm saying? For us to report it. But then soon as some little itty bitty thing happens on the Republican side, it's like this whole demonization. It's like, oh my God, they're the worst people since like ever. Like they must be Satan. Like, look at this corruption. Oh my God, they want to bring back slavery. Like, no, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's not. But again, we have to create this narrative. If black people, you can't vote for these people. We got to go get the black vote. Like, I am so sick of the media and the black vote. I swear. If one more person calls my phone for the black vote in the state of Virginia, I'm telling you right now.
Then you should identify as white.
I am sick of it. Like, I really am.
Okay, I got to back up a little bit here. Because you said nobody was outraged about what Trump said.
No,
everybody was upset about it.
No, all the people that had common sense was outraged about it. All the people that did, and when I say common sense, I mean people that had common sense. Anybody pushing a certain agenda on the right side, because that's the way you're leaning, did not think it was a bad thing. They didn't want to report it. They wanted to downplay it. They wanted to, just like if you go to certain news media networks that lean left. They don't report certain things. They downplay a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? There is no, look, two-party system, whatever. We could have a discussion about that all day long. All I'm saying is that there has to be a standard, and you have to have the standard across the board. What Kevin was talking about is when 60 Minutes did news reports, it didn't matter Democrat, Republican, black, white, Puerto Rican, purple, brown, whatever. They reported facts, and then they put the story out there. If there was a point of fact of responsibility where they could find documents. They used to throw documents up on the screen all day long. I love the way they used to throw documents on the screen. They would talk about a politician, and they would interview the politician. The politician would say, I have no recollection of any policy being drawn up like that. And then you'll hear him go, Mayor such and such says he doesn't recollect any such policy, but we went to public records and pulled out the and it shows his signature clear as day authorizing the policy. That's what they used to do. They would throw a document up on the screen, right? And then as soon as they say that, it will go right back to the reporter saying, hey, here's the documents that you signed authorizing the policy. And then you'd see the politician walk off screen. This interview's over. Like, we caught you lying. Mm-hmm. Today's news, they don't want to do that. They don't want to find out who's really responsible. Right. What we want to do is we want to create a narrative to get ratings, and we don't care that there's no real responsibility behind it or a solution. We don't care about the solution. We just want to pass. We just want to make a narrative. We just want to get ratings. You know, you want to talk about gun violence. Are you sensationalizing the solution to gun violence? Where's the solution at? Where's that 60-minute reporting?
Well, the other thing is what keeps getting pulled in are these statistics that have absolutely no meaning whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't.
You know, like for instance, I see a lot of reporting on like the NRA. The NRA, you know, they're responsible for all this death and whatnot. The NRA has absolutely nothing to do with any of that.
Do I have a beef with the NRA? Yes, because money shouldn't be in politics, pure and simple.
Oh no, there I agree.
You see what I'm saying? So that's the only problem I have with the NRA. Their money is driving certain political agendas, and that's the only problem I have with them. But other than that, you have to be crazy to think that's almost like the Illuminati theory. Like, come on, man. Like,
if someone shoots someone else, who's to blame?
that person.
They're a shooter.
Yes.
They're a shooter.
But we're going to go and we're going to link all this back to this to the NRA, because the NRA was responsible for this person that wanted to make a snap decision to go buy a rifle at the last minute from a gun show and then go shoot up a whole bunch of people. That's the NRA's fault. Like, no, that like we going to, and again, that whole narrative thing. You see what I'm saying? Like, why are we pushing that? Like,
well, let me throw a specific news article in here. This is the one I really did want to talk about, was the Covington kids. There's a kid, there was a group from Covington, who went to Washington, D.C. for the Right to Life March, I believe it was. And they were waiting for a bus. And they're just standing around waiting for the bus. And there were some adults there with some chaperones with them. And there were some black Israelites there who were shouting things at them. Mm-hmm. Now, a particular kid in the group, and I guess there were several in the group, who were wearing MAGA hats. Mm-hmm. A Native American... my understanding is he was a high ranking within Native Americans, but I'm not really sure. Walked up to one of the kids and was drumming and chanting in this kid's face. And the kid stood still, and he had what to me was an uncomfortable smile on his face. But the narrative that was put out there was he was taunting the Native American guy, mm-hmm. that the kids were shouting slurs mm-hmm. at the black Israelites, mm-hmm. that they were trying to block this guy's path mm-hmm. when the guy walked up to the kid. Now, the thing was, this was all based on a minute and a half video.
Yes.
When the entire video was released, which is like an hour and a half or whatever it is, it's a nice long one. I actually watched the whole thing. Those kids did absolutely nothing wrong.
Yes.
Now, CNN was, I believe, the first to report it, and they just demonized this kid. Now, the kid's he's a minor to start with, and there's people calling for doxing him. Mm-hmm. They just went after this kid. When the entire video came out, then rather than just saying, you know what, we were wrong about that. I mean, that would have been the responsible thing to do. Mm-hmm. The news media or CNN or whoever should have just said, you know what, we were wrong about that. We retract it. They didn't do that. They actually doubled down.
But
and they're like,
I got something for that.
And that smile on his face.
Yes.
Oh, he was obviously smirking. And then there's all these other things, like some of the kids were like chanting with the Native American guy.
Yes.
And basically they were saying, they shouldn't have been doing what they were doing. It's like they were teenagers, and guess what? They were acting like teenagers.
Okay.
God forbid.
So then the question would be, and again, two wrongs don't make a right. I'm going to say this right now before I make my point. Okay. So for years, there's only been one media presentation in the news that makes a lot of people look bad. Okay. So now we're on the other side of the fence where news agencies are trying to fight fire with fire. And this is what I mean by that. Donald Trump put an ad out. You know what I'm talking about? The 5. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he had enough media to smear the whole reputation of these 5 young men, these 5 young black men. Okay? Just because he could. There's no apology. There's no, I'm sorry, we printed that and we had no proof to do that. That is one example of media or our people's history with media. It's always been like that for a lot of people in this country. Okay, so now where's the other side learning how to do media like that from? They learned it from the people who have been doing media since what, the 1920s? There's an episode where we talked about Harry J. Anslinger. Look at his media. It's all false. It was all false concerning marijuana. It was not one. The only factual evidence that they had about marijuana was you can smoke it and how you smoke it and what color the leaf was and what the leaf looks like. That was the only factual information they had. Everything else they had about cannabis and marijuana was fake. But it went in newsreels. It was cycled in movie theaters. This was factual information. So this country has always used their own narrative in news to promote what they wanted to promote. And so again, I'm not saying that any news agency is right or wrong. I'm just saying this country has always done it. So it just never, it's just that most news agencies in this country all promoted I want to say a white American narrative. Until when? Until when? When did you start seeing the CNNs and the MSNBCs and all the rest of that other stuff? That stuff didn't come until later. So now, what do you think these people are going to do? They're gonna do what they learned from the other side. And that's where you get this whole narrative, misinformation. We're going to try to opinionate stuff to make people think a certain way. Like, come on. Like, all we want to do is hear the facts. If you're going to report a shooting, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't understand why that's the only thing you want to report. All the stuff that goes on within these cities, besides the bad stuff, why isn't that you can't report on it? Why? And again, that's what me and Kevin are talking about. There's stuff being done by local organizations, church organizations, 501c3s. There's so much stuff going on in these communities that you could report on. That's good news that you could give a lot of light to. That you got humanitarians, people with money. They can't wait to sign a check to put stuff in communities that is going to help, misfortunate families, kids, people down on their luck, all kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? And it's funny because as soon as the holidays gets here, everybody wants to put a camera in front of a Marine, Toys for Tots. Oh, let's talk about our military. They're away from the holidays. Oh, that's the whole, we can't wait to do that. What about now? Who's talking about the deployed Marine, sailor, soldier, airman? Who's talking about that right now? Y'all was talking about doing the Super Bowl. Y'all got a whole presentation about it. I don't see nobody talking about it now. Where are we at with that? So I mean, it's like I said,
now the other thing is that news runs in cycles.
Yeah.
We know that. For instance, Hurricane Sandy. Mm-hmm. I forget where that hit. Was that Louisiana or was that New Jersey?
The Sandy,
yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
wherever Sandy hit, okay, it devastated the area that it hit. I mean, our church denomination is actually involved in the cleanup and the rebuilding of the homes, which is why I know about it. And the thing was, it's all in the news when it happened. But the thing is, that cleanup 3-5 years later, whatever it is now, is still happening and not a single report.
Of course.
The fact that there are all these volunteers going there on their own dime to get there to help rebuild homes for these people.
Yeah.
That is great news. Why are we not hearing about that? What we hear about is for like 3 days about all the devastation. Once the water goes back down, we're not going to talk about that anymore. Because we can't lift our ratings by talking about the fact that there are volunteers from all over the country coming in and helping. But no, we can't report on that sort of thing. Now, I personally, I go looking for my news these days. I don't actually watch the news. If it pops up, whether it be on Facebook or if I'm over on YouTube or whatever, a lot of times YouTube now runs those things that are live, typically political, because we're in the political season right now. But I'll watch some of that. But I'm just looking for what really affects me. I'm not interested in the narrative. I do watch news media, whether it's left-leaning, right-leaning. I want to see both sides because both of them are going to lie to me.
Yeah.
But if I put the two lies together, sometimes they come out somewhere near the truth.
My thing is I as a voting American, I'm kind of done with politics. I'm not saying I don't vote. I'm just kind of done with listening to these guys. Like, it is what it is, man. So when I look at the news, I don't want to see. Me personally, I just don't look for politics. I don't look for sensationalism. Like, this person got locked up and is famous. Don't care. They're rich. They'll be out in about 2 hours doing something else. So I don't care. Now, if you want to talk about public safety, then yes, I definitely want to know about somebody that got locked up or somebody that's in a manhunt. I get why you're talking about somebody that may be on the loose that shot at somebody or held up a liquor store. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, if there was a shooting and somebody died, I get why that's being reported. I understand that. Okay. But why is the killer being sensationalized? He's already arrested. Who cares about that dude? Like, you are sensationalizing the killer instead of talking about the family and you know, and I don't want to hear about the dude that did. I don't want to hear about that guy, especially if he's arrested. If he's out on the loose, if they're looking for him because they know he did it, I get it. You know, but if you're gonna put gun violence up, you need to be talking about the family. You need to be bringing up the good things about whoever was lost and who they left behind and all the rest of that other stuff. Like, that's what you need to be reporting. Not, oh, look at this guy and he's been in jail 50 million times and they keep letting him out and he just killed somebody else and da 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 da. And this, like, unless you're gonna report a solution to this, like, I don't want to hear about that. You know what I'm saying? I do want to hear about how many kids graduated this year at a certain school and they come from families that got devastated by Hurricane Sandy, right? Like, I want to hear about that. I want to hear about how communities that were devastated by some kind of, you know, natural disaster, whatever, pulled themselves together, and now the kids are doing well and they're graduating and all the rest of that. Like, that's the kind of stories we want to hear.
Well, I'm not saying that's all I want to hear. I do want to hear what's out there. Now,
Yes.
I do have to say, the news outlets have to decide what's important to report, what's not important to report. They do have to make that decision because there's so much to report, and they only have a certain amount of time to do it in. So, well, now CNN, that's 24/7. They got plenty of time, and right now it's all, how can we hate Trump the most? I mean, there's nothing else on CNN typically.
And again, that's why I'm not looking at it. I'm done with
so for
it
me,
is what it is.
For me, it's like there's so much else to report. I wanted, there was something else that happened in the news that really bugged me. Jussie Smollett. Okay. So
I don't even know why we're talking about that.
Okay.
Like, why?
We're talking about that because this just demonstrates how the news media.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why are we even talking about
does it
him?
wrong. So basically, in case you haven't heard, because you live under a rock, I guess.
Yes.
But he allegedly set up getting himself beat up because he's gay and because he's black.
Yeah.
The police think it's because he just wanted to get more pay on his show or something like that.
Exactly. Whatever.
So anyway, so the news media, so the attack occurs, it gets reported. And the thing was, the news media went wild over that. Here's a gay black man who got beat up in Chicago at 2:00 in the morning. He was heading to Subway. Is Subway even open? But
no, it's not. But go ahead.
In Chicago, it could be. But so
no, trust me.
So anyway,
like, no, it's not open.
all the news media was piling on this story. Then I think it was within 24 hours. It's like, wait a second, there's some things that don't make sense. First of all, it's 20 degrees below zero in Chicago.
Yeah.
He's heading to Subway, walking by himself, and two guys jump him. What are those two guys doing out there?
Yeah.
It's 20 below zero.
Yeah.
There's no reason why they would even be out there. So there were things that didn't make sense, but the news media just piled on. Then it came out like, maybe he actually, there's something fishy about this. And we're suspecting that maybe he did it. Then the news media, instead of piling on that story, they come out with, oh, we need to wait for the facts before we make a decision on what really happened. It's like, because he's a gay black man, we can just report the fact that he got attacked. But when it might be like he was actually not the victim, but the actual perpetrator of everything that happened. Oh, we better wait on this one and wait for all the facts to come out. You didn't wait for any facts before it happened,
But see, again, where did that narrative come from? Like I said, this.
But it's the news outlets now. I go over to Fox.
Yeah.
Fox News.
You see it? Yes.
They basically started with, let's wait for the facts when he first reported it. But as soon as it was like, oh, he might have done it. Oh, we're not waiting for those facts.
Yeah,
let's jump on that.
Let's jump that. Yeah.
So your bias determines on what you want to do. Like, due process is important right now. It wasn't important.
But it's
before.
just it goes to that saying, tried in the court of public opinion, and that is the issue. The issue is that you're looking at media, And if it's a left-leaning media, we're going to demonize Republicans and white men and it's just like Bill Maher had a commentary. Matter of fact, I think you said that to me.
Yeah.
And he talks about how can you be more outraged than the victim?
Right.
It's this keyboard warrior stuff is like this keyboard warrior stuff is happening because it's being indulged by the media. Like, you have to understand, like, the media is reporting news and they're putting such a spin on it. That's what they call it, spin, that the truth of what happens gets lost because they create a narrative. And just like he was saying about the kid with the MAGA hat and the Indian, if
Native American.
Thank you very much. That was very rude. But so the gentleman with the MAGA hat and the Native American. Okay. So what ends up happening is you could get a regular old apple pie white American dude. You can pass this dude in the mall. It's nothing special about him. He's not rich. He's not poor. He's just average. Just like me and Kevin. We're just average dudes. Okay. So
I take offense to that.
Whatever, dude. So what ends up happening is this guy's driving his car and he hits, by mistake, a pregnant black woman. Okay. Nobody knows the deal. The pregnant black woman doesn't need an ambulance or anything. But because a group of people saw this happen, okay, all of a sudden cameras come out and you start seeing all these people demonize a white man trying to help this pregnant black lady up because he hit her. Now, the problem is that soon as this stuff goes viral, the media is going to grab this stuff and they're going to put their narrative on it. They can sell this. Man hits pregnant woman in the middle of the street, tries to run her over or something.
White man.
Yeah, hits pregnant black woman, tries to run her over in the middle of New York or whatever city you want to put this in. Now, all of a sudden, the video comes back from a camera, and it shows that the woman walked out from in front of a bus after getting off of it and did not look or stop, just walked out right into the street, and the guy stepped on his brakes to not hit her and bumped her, and she fell down. Innocent mistake. Innocent mistake. But the media is going to demonize this dude. He's going to lose his job, have to move, everything, because he's going to be branded a racist. Like, that's how bad the media is now. That is not a joke. I am not trying to over-exaggerate how this stuff works. That's exactly how this stuff works. And I'm going to say this. If you catch somebody being racist in public, like, that's who they are. Don't care. I personally do not care if a person is racist. Do I think they should lose their job over it? Nope. It's a free country. If you want to be racist, you can be racist on your own time. If you want to walk down a park and be racist to black people, hey, man, you get what you get. But at the end of the day, this whole narrative where we call it cancel culture. Like, you want to create a whole narrative around this guy and get him fired from his job and all the rest of that stuff. Again, where are we getting this from? Media creating narratives that really don't exist. I mean, it is what it is. Yep. What you got?
Okay, so I actually lost my thought. I wanted to go back to the kid from Covington.
Yes.
Real quick. What I do like that has happened, and of course I didn't actually see this in the news. I found it in the news, but it was kind of like buried somewhere. But basically, his lawyer, they sued CNN for, it was over $250 million. CNN did settle with them. I don't know, but they won't. They won't disclose for how much. But now they're going after the Washington Post, the New York Times. They're all left leaning.
And who was it? Who was this?
This is the kid with the MAGA hat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the same thing you were talking about. But what I like is the fact that they were sued. They did settle, which means, and back in 2015, I believe it was, I actually wrote an article in my blog. If you want to read the blog, Mike's going to put it up on the video, but it's kevinthinking.blogspot.com. This one in particular was about the media. So this is the thoughts I was having at that time. So I'll just read it to you. If a media service is continually reporting news, which is far more opinion than it is news, should they still be protected from libel lawsuits?
No.
Now, that was my thought back in 2015. The fact that CNN settled out of court, which means they did not admit any wrongdoing. However, was it possible that lawsuit was going to actually go through, that they lost their protection because they're not fully a news source? That's what I'm questioning. Because the American press is protected, where they're allowed to report things that other people could get sued for, for libel, basically.
Yes.
So you can smear somebody essentially, but as long as it's factual,
Yes.
it's not a smear. If you or I do it, we can still get sued.
Yes.
But the news media is protected from that. So my question back 5 years ago was, if they're really just putting a lot of opinion out there, are they really a news source, and can they be sued?
Well, it depends on, again, the narrative. So if just like I said, just like I said about the example of the dude driving a car and he hits a pregnant woman. Okay. It doesn't even have to be racial. It just doesn't. But if you turn to a news outlet and it says white driver runs over black pregnant woman, I'm sorry, you should get sued for libel.
Right.
You should get sued for libel. You don't even have to put any opinion on that whatsoever. If your headline is white driver runs over black pregnant woman, or if you even spin it even further, racist driver runs over black woman, again, I think you should be sued for libel. I don't think you get to print a retraction and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Nah, that has far more reaching consequences than you think. Nobody's not gonna come to you. Nobody's not gonna come. Let's just say if it was about Kevin, nobody's gonna come to Kevin tomorrow at work and be like, hey, Kevin, we're sorry about how we treated you. We didn't know that was not true. Like, it's gonna be an awkward day at work for a whole like Kevin's going. It's like even if they print a retraction, what they gonna do? People at the office are gonna come back and shake your hand and say, "Oh yeah, we knew you was a good guy. We knew that was fake." No.
Well, here's the other thing with retractions in print. Anyway, retractions are always like, first of all, okay, let's go with Jussie Smollett. They didn't print a retraction for that. Most of them did not. But that's page 1 news. Mm-hmm. The retraction, that's back on page 30 or something.
Yeah.
No one's ever going to actually read
that. Yeah.
So retractions never occur. Anytime the news media gets it wrong, honestly, it should be on the same page it was on when it was reported wrong.
That's not happening.
Well, it's not happening.
I
also don't believe in government intervention in these things, but there's no other way that's ever going to happen.
All I want is responsible reporting, and I want substance. That's what I want. I want substance. I want, hey, guess what? This was a problem, and this could be the solution. Or this was a problem, and this was the solution. Like, I just want substance. Like, again, if all you want to talk about is how many people are dying every single day, or how much stuff is going on, that whole negative thing, and again, we don't even have to put race on it. If all you want to report or sensationalize is negative stuff with no solution, I don't think that's actual news reporting. You might as well be Jerry Springer. I mean, I'm just being real. You might as well just be Jerry Springer.
Well, what I would say is, it may be important to report things happening. However, you need to be doing the research too, to say, you know what, hey, this stuff has been happening for a while now. Here's what the city council is doing about it. They're trying to take steps in this direction or whatever. At least add that much to it, instead of just reporting all these gun deaths and guns are the problem. Don't do that. It's like, all these deaths are occurring. City council is taking this up. This is what they're looking at. Maybe they are looking at the fact that guns are the problem, but don't add your opinion of what you think the problem is. Let people who are doing actual research.
Well, the deal of it is that if I wanted to, and then you go to, like, case in point, if I wanted to prove that guns are bad, I'm going to interview a bunch of people that think guns are bad. So now you look like a credible news source that's doing work. no, you're what they call it, padding offense or whatever. But is come on, man.
Right. Both sides of the issue should be represented.
Yes.
Because every issue.
And again, that 60-minute thing. That's what I'm talking about. Like if you're going to talk about gun violence, let's talk about, you know what I'm saying? Like case in point. Bit of news comes on and it says that this person was shot at a corner on Baker and Washington. Okay. Instead of putting the narrative on there that this was gang violence or it was over drugs. Okay. Why not wait to report that? You can say it was a shooting and involved, you know, if you want to say it involved two men, whatever. But why don't you wait to talk to both sides and then report that later on to figure out what really, really happened, instead of trying to just make this narrative of sensationalism about,
or even if the reporting is, hey, we just found out there was a shooting at Baker in Washington.
Yeah.
We will look into that and get back to you with more information. You were still first to report it.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? But no, what we're going to do is we're going to get all this stuff offhand. You know, the police said there were this. The police said there was this. The police said was that. Police said they found marijuana at the scene. Nobody is going to shoot and kill somebody over a joint. I'm not saying it's never happened a day in the history of since the United States of America has been a country, but I'm just saying, like, that's irresponsible reporting. Right. Drugs were found at the scene. And what? I'm sure if you search some of the stuff that I got hard enough, it's probably some marijuana residue somewhere. You can get a dog to sit on my book bag or something. But if I get shot, does that mean?
First of all, you don't smoke marijuana.
It doesn't matter.
This is an interesting one. Had there been a car accident, so a young man I know just got a brand new car. Well, yes. It's a used car, but it's new to him. Yes. So he got a car. They bought it privately from some guy. He's driving around. Now, luckily, he didn't have an accident because in the glove box, the owner left a little container.
Yes.
With marijuana. It smelled like marijuana.
Yeah.
I threw it away for him when I figured out what it was.
Okay.
Well, actually, he already knew what it was at that point, and I threw it away for him. But it was left in the glove box. If he were in an accident, he'd go to prison for that problem.
Well, he wouldn't go to prison.
Well, not prison, but
he'd definitely get a ticket for driving under the influence. But yeah.
But the boy doesn't smoke.
You're right, he doesn't.
But there was stuff left in the car, and that's just it. So if there was a container in the glove box, that means there's probably smoke residue throughout the car.
No, not well. True that. Yeah.
Possibly. So how do you know? Now you can report all that, but why don't you just wait for the facts?
So now you know the problem of my people. Okay. There you go.
Okay. I didn't think we were going to go there.
I'm just saying. You just there's the point that I was trying to make. I mean, you have a person that has marijuana in that car. Or drugs or anything, and it could not be theirs. It could be theirs. It doesn't mean that they did it just now or whatever. And some altercation happens. The police shows up. It makes news, and all of a sudden, there was marijuana found in the vehicle. What does that have to do with the fact that really? Like, come on, man. They're creating a narrative again. Right. Oh, he must have been high when he hit that poor lady. Like, no, he was not high.
Right.
Like he would not, but we're gonna put that in there, and we're gonna keep creating these narratives. It is what it is. If I have beer in my car, and I get into an accident, God forbid, okay, I get into an accident, and I send a young kid to a hospital, and that beer falls over in the seat and busts open, and the cops just don't believe me that I was not drinking and that was a byproduct of me drinking, how does that get reported? Now, I don't get a ticket because my BAC is 0.00 because I haven't been drinking. So they have to believe my story. They have no real evidence to arrest me or give me a DWI. Okay? But for some reason, this hits the news report because the kid goes to the hospital. It is what it is. And they specifically put in the news report, empty alcohol bottles were found in the vehicle. Really? Really, that's what you're going to say?
Right.
You're not going to say I was coming from the store at the time purchasing my beer and got into the accident? You're just going to say, oh, empty beer bottles were found in the vehicle.
Well,
which is a factual statement because they broke open and they were empty.
Right. But if I'm trying to sell airtime to my the people that want to advertise on my news channel,
yes,
that I can raise the price of my commercials just because I'm saying those kinds of things.
Man, see, that's garbage.
That's where when you allow money to influence what you're saying,
yeah,
all of a sudden you stop reporting news. There's no way to report news if you allow anything else to change your narrative. Now, I do want to say, because I actually got reprimanded on Facebook for this. I had talked about the news media on Facebook, and a friend of mine that I went to high school with said, I know a lot, and I guess she works in a newsroom or something, and she's like, everybody who works there is ethical, they do the right thing, things like that. Those are the local outlets. I don't have cable anymore, so I don't actually see it, but I haven't really seen local networks do a lot of that. What I do see is a lot of the big outlets, the ones that aren't local, the national ones. They seem to be the ones who are doing that sort of thing.
Got you.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm just throwing it out there, because the thing is, there are I would say the majority of news people are trying to do their job, trying to do it the best they can. We don't want to demonize them at the same time.
But we got the sensationalizers. That's what I want to call them. Right. So we got to get those ratings. We got to get those ratings up. Like y'all guys suck.
Well, now locally, okay. Now here's what happens locally. Here in Richmond, anyway. We had a grocery store chain here, and they allowed the news media to come in whenever they were doing their weather report when they were expecting snow.
Yeah.
So this is the way a snow report goes. Well, we're expecting a half inch to a full inch of snow. However, if it gets as bad as it possibly can, we're going to see at least a foot. Now, but they really emphasize the fact that there could be a foot. And now what happens? Okay, all the bread, the milk, and
water,
and the eggs,
batteries, flashlights, salt.
You apparently don't live here with me. But
it does disappear.
It's the eggs, the milk, and the bread. Now, white people are making French toast all the time. I don't know. French toast apparently gets you through these blizzards of a half inch of snow. Actually, our last news report, we were supposed to get like 6 or 7 inches of snow or something. I saw a picture on Facebook. Guy has a ruler in the snow. It actually didn't even touch the ruler.
Look, let me tell you. As soon as they say it's snowing down there, to a point where they cancel schools before one drop of snow touches the ground.
It's a flake of snow.
Flake of snow. I stand corrected. Flake of snow. Before one flake of snow hits the ground, you can go to any supermarket around there, and the items that I've mentioned are gone. Batteries, flashlights, salt, milk, eggs, water. Nobody carries as much water as, I hate to pump this company because I hate it, but nobody carries more water than Costco, Sam's, and Walmart. Like if they're empty, it's a problem. Like, that's ridiculous. All because it's supposed to snow. And it's supposed to snow a lot, and we're just going to, like, what?
See, and what I don't understand is I've lived in Richmond now for like 22 years. In all the years I've been here, I've been snowed in for more than 24 hours exactly one time. And the reason I was snowed in was because our cul-de-sac is the last spot in the entire state to see a plow. They don't come into our cul-de-sac. They don't even come into our cul-de-sac.
Wow, outstanding.
But that's the only reason we were snowed in. We just couldn't get out, and my driveway is like, it's a 45-degree angle or something.
Yeah, you got to pre-salt. You got to throw a whole bunch of sand, salt, everything out there.
But for us, the reports, they report like the snow is going to be so bad, and people panic. They go out to the stores, they clean the stores out. I'm just doing my regular grocery shopping, and I can't find anything I need because it's all gone because there was a threat of snow. and everybody does it, like the day before it's supposed to snow. Honestly,
maybe let's do some conspiracy theories. I mean, since the media does it, let us do it.
And that's just it. That grocery food chain, they invite the news media to go there to do their weather report.
See that?
Like, come on out to our store. Now that store doesn't exist anymore. But come on out to our store. We got supplies. So everybody comes out to the store.
There we go.
And the news is there to film all these cars and all these people flowing in and out of the grocery store. We got a grocery store just up the street from where I live, and if I hear there might be snow, honestly, everybody, I think, in the state has enough stuff in their pantry to get through the amount of snow we get here.
Yeah.
Now if you live up in the mountains, that might be a different story. But I grew up in the mountains of Pennsylvania, back before climate change, so we actually got a lot of snow.
That's probably another discussion.
Yeah, that'll be another discussion for another day. But getting 3 feet of snow was not. It happened.
No.
And do you think school ever got canceled?
No.
Unless it was actively snowing? No.
I can tell you, it's been plenty of times I done walked it like 2 feet, 3 feet of snow to school. Like I had
to walk uphill both ways.
So that was nothing. Like, I mean, we loved it. It snowed. We would have to literally, like, you would have to dig yourself out of your house for schools to be closed. And when I say dig yourself out, we're talking about 6 inches or better. Like, if you didn't get that, school was not closing. Like, it is what it is. Like, there'll be ice on the roads, everything. You would see these school buses riding around with chains on the back wheels, everything. Like, it took a lot for schools to close in Baltimore City. It did. It did. You wasn't going to get no 3 inches of snow when school was closed. Like, that's not happening. It's not happening at all.
I do remember some snow days that we had in Pennsylvania, but not many. Not really many. I remember where I had to really pick my feet up high to walk through the snow.
I'm telling you, it's like if it wasn't at least a foot, a foot, like, sticks to the ground and it's a foot. Not this whole, it was a foot and all the snow melted on the street and you got like 6 inches left over on the grass to make snowballs with. No. We're not closing schools for that. Even with the ice freezing over, like, no.
But see, part of the problem becomes too is it becoming hazardous to transport the kids? Because nobody puts chains on their buses anymore, on the tires of the buses. They don't put chains on anymore, as far as I know.
Up north, they still do it.
Maybe up north, but I mean here in the state.
Okay.
But here, they've actually canceled school here because of rain. If the temperature gets down towards 0, that sometimes they close the school.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like,
and I want to say I think I only see the chains on emergency vehicles. So again, like fire trucks, assault trucks, stuff like that.
And again, the chains destroy the roads.
Yeah.
There's all these issues I guess we didn't think about way back when, because we weren't that concerned about everything going on in the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Now, because actually we have so much information available to us now that we're worried about everything.
Everything, yeah.
And the thing is, like people feel less secure than ever right now, and yet when you look at crime statistics, crime has actually gone way down. So we are actually safer than back when we should have been worried about our safety.
Well, it depends on where you're talking about.
Because and I'm not saying there won't be areas, but overall, we are safer today than what we were. Like
maybe some of the crime is not being reported.
No, it's not
because of the area. No. I don't know. I mean, I can make some conspiracy theories. I mean, hey, the media does it all the time. I mean, hey, just because you live in Amarillo, Texas, doesn't mean there's no crime.
Why don't we declare ourselves in the news media, and then we can just lie about everything?
You mean give our opinion on everything?
Oh no, it'll be facts.
Will it?
It's all facts if it's news, right?
No.
Okay, sorry. No. I had to go there. One last thing I did want to bring up. I found a video of Denzel Washington talking about fake news. It's just I don't know, 15, 20-second clip or something.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it into the stream here so y'all can see it. I thought he did a good job describing exactly what's going on in the news media.
Definitely.
So we'll definitely put that up there. Anything else you
got?
I
mean, what did you think when you saw it?
There's been a lot of buzz about this fake news. You were the subject of a fake news story.
Oh yeah, what they say? I was running for president. No, I voted. No, what they say?
You switched your support.
I switched.
From
Yeah.
What do you make of all the fake news that it affects?
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed.
So what do you do?
That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore. So what a responsibility you all have to tell the truth, not just to be first, but to tell the truth. We live in a society now where it's just first. Who cares? Get it out there. We don't care who it hurts. We don't care who we destroy. We don't care if it's true. Just say it, sell it. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, including BS.
You told me last time.
Okay. But you heard me? Does that make sense?
I hear it.
I thought go Denzel. I thought he was right on the money. He was on the money with that.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I just think there's so much going on in the country that you could report and find solutions for, or help find solutions for. There are, I mean, you're talking about all these teachers and good policemen and some of these public servants, these government workers, whether you be in the military or whatever. There's so much stuff that you could report on to give light to just issues happening and give light to the solutions, instead of just trying to find the worst negative thing you could put at the top of 5 o'clock news. Like,
okay, there was another thing I did want to throw out there. Our politicians, if you listen to the politicians talk, they use the talking points from the news media. They get their information from the news. They don't get their information from the actual facts of the case, of whatever's going on.
No.
They watch the news, and then they make that part of their narrative in whatever they're trying to push. Now, of course, the Democrats are going to listen to the left-leaning news. The Republicans are going to listen to the right-leaning news. And then they can never agree on even what the facts are, because no one has the facts.
They believe in a narrative and not factual information.
Right. They believe what the news is telling them, rather than go find it for yourself. That's one of the things that I do a lot. When I hear something on the news, I start digging in. Let me go find the actual facts. When does the news actually ever cite where they got their information? I mean, when they do, I go there.
That's why a lot of stuff is used, because it's viral. Like with the whole Jussie Smollett thing. No reporter was there getting information. That was a viral thing. This is gonna be at the top of the news when we come on tonight. We're gonna talk about it. Why? Because it's viral and everybody's talking about it.
That's true.
Nobody sent a reporter anywhere to ascertain any kind of factual information, to gather any kind of factual information. It's all about, this is what's viral. This is what we're gonna talk about. Again, how in the world is that news reporting? I have no idea.
How about anonymous sources? Now, I agree with keeping people's identity anonymous in many cases. But how can, like... But all the news today is coming from anonymous sources.
Because it's a loophole. Okay. Back in the day, an anonymous source was somebody that was involved with the actual event that wanted to be anonymous.
Or would be put in danger for exposing.
Well, that's what I mean. They were part of the actual event.
Okay, gotcha.
In some way, shape, or form, that anonymous person was involved with the actual event. Like, that's firsthand information. Mm-hmm. That's not, my brothers, cousins, sisters, mothers on my father's side, blah, blah, blah. It's firsthand information, and they want to remain anonymous because they don't want to get in trouble. Okay? As they say, in the street, snitches get stitches. It is what it is. Okay? So a lot of stuff that they used to get from street sources was firsthand information, and it would be an anonymous source. I get that. Okay. Now it's just an anonymous source for the loophole of it's a viral event and we really don't have an actual factual person that we really talked to and got this information. Exactly. So an anonymous source could be TMZ. I mean,
as long if you say anonymous, you don't you don't ever have to actually produce any real.
And that's what I'm saying. So if I call TMZ and I say, hey, TMZ, where'd you get that from? Oh, it's an anonymous source. Oh, okay, thanks. Anonymous source. There's the viral clip. Like, come on. That's not news. That's not news. Like I said, I'm kind of done with the whole viral thing. I'm kind of done with the whole, the vilification of certain groups of people. And all you want to do is talk about the most negative thing that goes on in certain areas. You don't want to talk about anything positive unless it fits your narrative for whatever you're doing at that time. Like I said, Christmas, Toys for Tots, military, everybody, Yellow Ribbon family, Gold Star families, it is what it is, but once that narrative leaves and we're going to the new year and it's after Super Bowl, what happens? Right back to the vilification of and sensationalism of the most negative thing you can find because you think it's going to get you ratings. And that's what I don't agree with.
Okay. All right. What we'd like you to do at this point is, if you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends. Second, leave your comments, leave your questions. Tell us what you think. What should we do better? What could we do different? What would you like to hear about? And do you have an opinion on news media too? And if you do, tell us what it is. Whether you like them, don't like them.
Yeah.
We will respond to everything. We'll try to respond to everything. Hopefully, we get so overwhelmed with questions and comments that we don't have time to do that. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But we want to continue going forward with our discussions, but we want you to be part of it too. So let us know what's going on.
Okay.
Okay, and we are out.
Peace. Okay.
Okay. All right, yeah, leave all this stuff out at the beginning.
Yeah. I'm just here chilling with my man K-Dog.